the Rubin Report.
Allow U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change? Oh no, I think we would love to see the regime there change.
That Marco Cubio, that's what I'm calling him for now on.
Alex Pretty's the guy you would want to date your daughter.
She should be fired.
I was raised with 3 brothers.
She married one of them. All right, how you doing, guys? I am Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report. It is February 2nd, 2026. We are live streaming on Rumble, on YouTube, and on Locals. Share, subscribe, tap that notification bell. We got a jam-packed show for you, and it is a show for normal people, as it says right there. Before we get to it, there is something happening right now that is a first in Rubin Report history. I have done this show for 13 years, thousands of episodes, interviews, direct messages, etc. We have never once, whether it was in Los Angeles or here in Florida, used heat in the studio, but that's where we are at right now. There is a cold spell and it's even hitting the free state of Florida, and I woke up this morning and it said 43 degrees, mostly sunny, and that qualifies with a high. It's a low of 36, a high of 58, and here in Florida, that counts as a severe weather advisory. It is true that the iguanas are freezing. Over the weekend, we were out with the kids, like we were poking iguanas left and right. They literally freeze, they drop out of the trees, and then they, if they're lucky, they land in the sun, and then they somehow come back to life. It is a serious situation. Anyway, speaking of serious situations, there's just an awful lot going on in the country right now, and we are going to start with the Grammys. I did not watch the full Grammy program. I don't know that I've ever watched it. I haven't watched an awards show in years, but you see these clips. And it's so interesting. Phoenix said to me as we were doing the run through this morning, it's like, in some sense, what Hollywood is doing right now almost feels like we are back in 2015, 2016, when Donald Trump, when they full on came out and immediately Donald Trump was Hitler and Nazis and all of the stuff that we've recycled it so many times. There's been so many versions of it, but it's like we're right back at the beginning of the story somehow 10 years later in 2026. Because the Grammys were last night. This is where a bunch of, I would say, marginally talented musicians, like these aren't, the greatest musicians of all time anymore. Most of the music sucks. Like, when was the last time any of you heard a new song that you were like, that's a real banger? Like, no, it's been a long time. I listened to the same old stuff I was listening to 20 years ago. Anyway, they get up there and they just lecture you. They lecture you, and they have insane amounts of security. Try to imagine the level of armed security, of people that have guns, and the walls and fences they have, and the amount of entourage they have keeping them safe. But then they lecture you about wanting to keep the country safe. It is the height of absurdity. Let's dive in. The host of the show was this buffoonish Trevor Noah, the guy who Jon Stewart handpicked to replace him at The Daily Show, who basically sucked, got fired. He's the worst kind of just leftist hack there is. Clip 1, Connor, show it.
Song of the Year. Congratulations, Billie Eilish. Wow. That is a Grammy that every artist wants, almost as much as Trump wants Greenland. Which makes sense. I mean, because Epstein's island is gone, he needs a new one to hang out with Bill Clinton. So, I told you it's my last year. What are you going to do about it?
Ooh, that's so edgy. It's funny, you never made any of those jokes when Joe Biden was in charge. And of course, Joe Biden, autopen, they had 4 years where they could have done anything with the Epstein list, but you didn't do that. Also, Bill Clinton happens to be referenced several times in the Epstein stuff, and just none of it. And the Greenland, you guys are just virtue signaling buffoons. We'll get to Billie Eilish in just a second. But first, here from Donald Trump directly on Truth Social. The Grammy Awards are the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS is lucky not to have this garbage litter their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the low ratings Academy Awards. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to Epstein Island nor anywhere close. And until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there, not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser, better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyers to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty. Ask little George Slopanopoulos and others how that worked out. Also ask CBS. Get ready, Noah. I'm going to have some fun with you, President Donald J. Trump. Now, look, whether the president should be suing people, is it probably within the strict lines of defamation, libel, slander, et cetera, if you completely make up that someone, in essence, is a pedophile who has been to Pedophile Island? Probably. Now, as I always talk about when it comes to libel and slander, these are they're rarely ever used. Donald Trump has used them a couple times in the court of law, but they're basically never used when it's a public person. And you sort of want that. As a free speech advocate, you should want that as an American, because you want as much of a liberal interpretation of the First Amendment so that people can make fun of each other and use sarcasm and everything else. But Trevor Noah knew exactly what he was doing right there. And it's like it's just the clapping seal thing, right? You're in a room full of clone soldiers who think the exact same thing that you think. And again, you're behind armed guards and huge fences, and you're all super rich, and you all just think you're so much better than the rest of us. Now, interestingly, there is one, I guess we call her a musician, this Nicki Minaj, who came out last week, and she's a big supporter of Donald Trump. And the last thing that these tolerant, decent, diverse people want is someone not thinking exactly like they do.
John Legend, Billie Eilish, Phineas, Nicki Minaj is not here. She is not here. She is still at the White House with Donald Trump discussing very important issues. Actually, Nikki, I have the biggest ass. I have it. Everybody's saying it, Nikki. I know they say it's you, but it's me. Wop, wop, wop. Look at it. Look at it, baby.
All right, again, the jokes, whatever, none of that really matters other than it's to illustrate the point that one person out of their crew, right, out of all the rappers and the whatever the hell they all are, one of them decided to think differently, and now she's on the outs. By the way, this is exactly what Bill Maher, was it the Emmys 2 weeks ago, or the Golden Globes? It was the Golden Globes, I think, yeah. When 2 or 3 weeks ago at the Golden Globes, Bill Maher is the only person outside of Hollywood who's still sort of in Hollywood, and he showed up there and they made fun of him, right? So they want you to pay a price. It's easy for them to, we hate all the conservatives and they're all racist and blah, 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 blah. That's easy for them to do. But what they really hate is when someone thinks differently. And the irony, of course, is that these are the people who purport to be tolerant and diverse and everything else. Anyway, this Billie Eilish, I don't know any of her songs. Maybe you can sing one for me after or something. She got up there and she told us that no one's illegal on stolen land.
No one is illegal on stolen land. And yeah, it's just really hard to know what to say and what to do right now. And I feel really hopeful in this room, and I feel like we just need to keep fighting and speaking up and protesting, and our voices really do matter, and the people matter, and I say sorry.
I don't even know what the bleeped part was, but wow, lady, you're so edgy. Now, interestingly, no one is illegal on stolen land. She's Canadian. She's Irish by ethnicity. So what is an Irish girl doing in Canada? If no one is illegal if land is stolen in the dim-witted way that you are presenting this, what are you doing there? You should only be allowed to live in Ireland if that is the case. And of course, everyone knows that's absurd. Canada, although it is basically becoming a failed state, largely has been a multicultural democracy. So should Canada not exist? Should it just go back to the natives who lived there 500 years ago and that's it? Now, of course, she's doing this in America, so she's telling all of these people, the implication is that America is on stolen land. No one is illegal because we stole this land. And then again, you have millionaires with armed guards who are all applauding it. Now, they don't get out in the streets and fight with ICE. That's for you pawn fools to do. Of course, they don't do that. Now, interestingly, I was just informed that Joseph here, our associate producer, was in choir with Billie Eilish in Los Angeles, I assume. Could you approach the desk, please? This is Joseph. Also, he's wearing a jacket because it's very cold in here. So you were in choir with her, that is correct?
Yep.
Yes, and would you like to maybe sing a little something that maybe you guys sang together or something to prove this? It seems, yeah.
Oh, Shenandoah, I long to see you.
So that guy literally sang that on stolen land with that crazy bitch, okay? That is just... of course, generally, it's not just that they're all pandering and liars and hypocrites and all of that stuff. Everyone gets all that. Thank God we moved. You know, in retrospect, thank God for COVID. I am actually now glad that they released that virus into the world, because that was the precipice to get us to move to Florida. So thank God they did it, so I'm not around these people anymore. Anyway, there's this guy, Bad Bunny, who apparently has nothing to do with what's the store at the mall with the shirts? Psycho Bunny. I thought there was some kind of connection there. Bad Bunny and Psycho Bunny have nothing to do with each other. So Bad Bunny, who's going to does he sing, rap, whatever it is, at the Super Bowl, I guess this weekend. Is it this weekend? It's this weekend, right? He won an award for something, and look, he's so edgy. These people are so edgy.
Before I say thanks to God, I'm gonna say eyes out. We're not savage, we're not animals, we're not aliens, we are humans, and we are Americans.
No, it's Monday. Americans are Americans. That's the issue. So again, all ICE out. Okay, so anyone is American. All land is stolen. Anyone is American. What they are trying to do is destroy the very idea of a nation state. They are fundamentally not good people. I don't know what to say beyond that in some sense. Like they all think exactly the same way. Logic and reason never gets through to them. Their hypocrisy is off the charts. Trust me, I've been to enough of these types of events over the years. If you had any clue what the security levels are, and that there are quite literally snipers outside the Grammys so that when they're walking the red carpet, people don't come and attack them. So that's the level of security they want for themselves. But no one is illegal. No one's an alien. Borders don't exist. And it's just, and that guy, also, he looks insane. Like he looks like he was wearing a fake body. I don't know what that was. But it's everybody, even Bieber. Bieber and Hailey Bieber, is that his wife or sister? Who is that? That's his wife. So Justin and Hailey Bieber, they want ICE out. They wore the pins.
We got one last stop here.
Again, I don't want to bludgeon you guys, but do you think Justin Bieber goes literally anywhere without armed security? Do you think he shows up at Trader Joe's or at Equinox Gym or wherever else? Do you think he goes there without armed guards? Of course not. So ICE out. All ICE is doing is trying to make sure that illegals are not here. Now, interestingly, it's like they'll consistently defend the people who are attacking ICE, and they'll always attack ICE themselves. Not one mention of any of the young girls who have been killed by the illegals. Just simply don't care about it. But if you think these people can't get worse, it's even worse. Don Lemon is now a big star amongst them. He was a marginal cable host who we often just poked fun at because he was such a buffoonish clown at the pre-Grammy Gala, because they also have pre-parties for their regular parties where they also serve all sorts of fancy things and get all their gift bags and everything else. He received a standing ovation because he's such a brave guy who busted into a church and harassed young kids. All right, we'll have more on some of the Lemon fallout in just a second, but I really want you to think about it this way. Let's let's put aside ICE and everything else. We do know that the First Amendment protects your right to free speech. There are also protected places. Places of worship are protected. That way it stops crazy people or just anyone who has any issue from disrupting someone else's free speech, right? Free speech is a two-way road. So you can't just bust into a church and disrupt services. You can't bust into a mosque or a synagogue or anything else. There are some places that are protected because if you use your free speech to silence someone else's free speech, well, then we don't have free speech at all. So let's just, putting aside the specifics of what Lemon did, because we'll get to that in a second, just take any other version of this, literally any other version of this. Let's say a bunch of white people decided that they had, for whatever reason, they wanted to just bust into a mosque and disrupt their services, right? And just start lecturing them about things. Do you think that that person would be getting a standing ovation at the Grammys? Now let's pretend a bunch of anybody's, it doesn't matter, busted into a synagogue and started harassing these people. Now they might get a round of applause at the Grammys because these people are so backwards, but you get the point, right? We have protected spaces and they are now applauding because it is against, in these people's minds, it is anti-white and it is anti-Christian, and there is nothing more worthy of applause than that. It is rather disgusting. Let's talk about Noble Gold, and then we'll get more of the Lemon fallout. Guys, gold has officially gone mainstream. Every day, more and more Americans are discovering the power of gold, but how do you actually take advantage of it and invest in a simple way? That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. Their specialists are trained to help investors like you go from confused to confident. Whether you're looking to roll over an old 401k into a gold IRA or want physical coins and bars delivered right to your home, Noble Gold makes the process simple, secure, and stress-free. You'll get step-by-step guidance, transparent pricing, and US-based service from a trusted team that's handled over $2.5 billion in precious metal transactions. With Noble Gold Investments, protecting and growing your wealth isn't just their job, it's their commitment. Visit DaveRubinGold.com today to claim your free wealth protection kit. That's DaveRubinGold.com today. Noble Gold, helping you build a stronger future. Okay, so let's focus on Lemon here for a minute. He's back, whether we like it or not. Don Lemon is back. And we'll catch you up on some of the legal side of all this. This from Fox. Former CNN anchor and journalist Don Lemon is slated to appear in a federal court Friday afternoon to face federal criminal charges and potential jail time in connection with his alleged involvement in a protest at a Minnesota church earlier this month. Lemon will be charged in Los Angeles Friday afternoon on allegations of conspiring to violate someone's constitutional rights and alleged FACE Act violations, a spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security confirmed to Fox News Digital. The FACE Act, passed in 1994, is a federal law that prohibits the use of force, intimidation, or obstruction to deliberately injure, intimidate, or interfere with an individual's ability to exercise their right to religious freedom at a place of worship. FACE Act violations carry penalties from ranging to fines to prison time, depending on the severity of the violation alleged and other contributing factors. Because the FACE Act classifies a first-time violation involving the use of force or physical obstruction as a misdemeanor, Lemon could face a maximum of 1 year in federal prison if prosecutors seek those charges. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to a Fox News Digital's request for comment. Lemon's arrest comes more than a week after he was seen with a group of ICE protesters who interrupted a church service at City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota, where the Immigration and Customs ICE official serves as a pastor. The group of protesters was seen chanting ICE out, according to video footage, and interrupting the service. Okay, so you get the point. That's exactly what I illustrated earlier. There are limits around the First Amendment if you are using your First Amendment right to free speech to stop someone else from using theirs. I'll give you just a little more detail. Just right. I'm going to give you the book detail definition of the FACE Act. It was enacted in 1994. It is a federal law prohibiting the use of force, threat of force, or physical obstruction to injure, intimidate, or interfere with anyone seeking to provide or obtain reproductive health services, including abortion, as well as those exercising religious freedom at places of worship. So by the strict, obvious definition, clearly, the people who bust into that church, Don Lemon amongst them, did violate the FACE Act. I don't think there's much debate about that. Here is Don Lemon explaining that this is just the same thing he's been doing for 30 years.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court.
You know, Don Lemon did just say something true there, maybe for the first time ever. He has been doing this for the last 30 years, but not journalism. He's been doing activism for the past 30 years. Do you think he is a journalist? Again, he's just a guy that sits behind a desk and reads stuff off a teleprompter. Now, in this case, he decided to join a bunch of activists and bust into a church. Imagine if we didn't have the FACE Act, or imagine if basically you could always use your First Amendment rights to silence somebody else. Like you could allow the Hamas protesters to just ruin every synagogue service. Do you think that would make sense? There would be no spaces for people. These are the same people who want safe spaces, right? The same people who want safe spaces suddenly are happy that you can just bust into a church and harass kids and go on and on and on and on. Anyway, on Real Time with Bill Maher on Friday night, he had Marjorie Taylor Greene on the show, and they got into it also as it relates to the FACE Act. And, well, take a look.
They arrested Don Lemon. Somebody went, yes, like good. I don't know. I
didn't hear him.
It's not good to arrest him. I don't, you know.
Well, I'm going to say he violated the FACE Act. He went into a church, disrupted their worship, and then later in an interview compared them to white supremacists. That's not journalism. That's activism. I had an experience with Don Lemon.
But does it warrant getting arrested?
Disrupting a worship service, stopping people's right to worship God, that is violation of the FACE Act. And under the Biden administration, pro-lifers were sent to prison up to 11 years for praying in front of an abortion clinic.
Okay, so there's a couple of things here. I happen to agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I don't agree with on a lot. I mean, I've read you the law several times, and again, I just want you to think, if that didn't exist, there would be no ability for people to pray anywhere, that any lunatic could always come in, exercise their demons at a place of worship, and disturb people from being able to pray, right? It's a two-way street. Free speech is a two-way street. So I do agree with her, and I agree with her sort of on the philosophical side, and I agree with her on the legal side. Now, Bill is bringing up something slightly different. Bill is sort of saying, well, is it a good idea to arrest the guy? That's a separate issue, because we know that everything butterfly affects everything. Do we want Don Lemon to be a martyr right now? I mean, look what just happened. He has the millionaires, the armed, protected millionaires of the Grammys are now giving this guy a round of applause. So is going after Don Lemon in this case, as opposed to going after all of the full-on activists that bust into the church, the celebrities wouldn't care about them. It's one of their own that's going down now. So does that create a bigger problem? I think that is an interesting thought game, basically. Of course, the question really is, should anyone be above the law here, right? Like, so if you're going to go after the activist who did it, well, Don Lemon was with the activist. He was harassing the pastor and everything else. So the question is anyone above the law? Do we have video of someone saying that nobody's above the law?
Nobody is above the law. Nobody's above the law.
Well, shit. Let's continue with Don's former place of employment, CNN. There is a journalist by the name of Lydia Moynihan. I did not know of this girl before I saw this clip, but this is quite good. She's on Abby Phillip's show, and as you know, I always point out that there's just nothing going on behind Abby Phillip's eyes. She is so dim-witted, and she's just nothing. I don't know what she is. This is a great fact-checking moment for Abby.
The question is he a protester or a journalist? And the indictment obviously suggested that he posted himself at the main door. He prevented people from exiting, but ultimately
No, it does not say that.
The indictment
it says that protesters did that. It names the other people. It did not say that Don did that.
Look, I just want to respond because you accused me of mischaracterizing the indictment. This is actually a quote from the indictment that Lemon posted himself at the main door of the church where he confronted some congregants and physically obstructed them as they tried to exit, challenging them with facts about U.S. immigration policy. So that is what the indictment says. I'm not stating whether I agree with that, but that's what the indictment says. So, look,
they also characterized him as intimidating a pastor who he was calmly interviewing. So I think we also have to, the characterization of him conducting journalism is also something to be questioned.
Abby, you are just horrible at your job. Lydia, well done, okay? The indictment doesn't say that. Oh, would you mind if I read the indictment? Well, the characterization, like, she's just terrible. I don't know why. I do know why. Like, they hire her because she's terrible. It's baked in. That's the whole point. Anyway, what now this is about, putting aside what anyone thinks about the ICE situation, what this now is about and how it will be framed is whether we should be arresting journalists who basically are activists and whether there will be any protected spaces. And if you guys rip that Band-Aid off, that there will be no protected spaces, wait till you see the evil that will be unearthed, and it will be evil. My buddy Michael Knowles got into it with Chris Cuomo after Cuomo said that Trump was arresting journalists.
The president just arrested 2 journalists. Now I think that he's almost in double down mode. I thought he was in de-escalate mode. Now he's having journalists arrested.
Well, he arrested journalists for committing crimes and then filming themselves committing crimes and then talking and admitting on camera to committing those crimes. So, you know, just because you say you're a journalist doesn't mean he violated the FACE Act in 18 U.S. Code Section 241, among others.
You think he used Yeah, well, look, just because you know the number of the statute, bravo, you probably know the acronym.
I just read the indictment.
But they also want to throw the Ku Klux Klan Act after him. The indictment, as a lawyer, let me tell you, not an impressive document.
Chris, I think it's laudable that you want to defend your friend. Don Lemon said on camera that the purpose of the event that he was actively participating in was to traumatize people. And he said that is good. That is what that is for.
Okay, Cuomo is just the worst. I mean, I've sat with him. I go, that's just terrible. But of course, not only does Knowles calmly lay out the FACE Act again, but okay, so if this is what position would you be taking right now, Chris Cuomo and the rest of you, if a bunch of people in MAGA hats just decided to bust into a local mosque and just sit there, literally just sit there? You know, so you got all the people praying on the mats and everything, and then 10 MAGA guys in hats. They didn't say a word. They didn't call anybody any mean phrases, nothing like that. They just decided to sit in the back and watch. Do you think that should be allowed? And what would you be saying about it? So the hypocrisy can be, you know, sort of sifted through quite easily here. It is worth noting that a grand jury in Minnesota indicted Don Lemon, right? So this wasn't just that the federal government, that Donald Trump came in and was like, arrest him, right? Which is the way they're trying to frame it. You know, that's not the case. A federal grand jury indicted him in Minnesota. Of course, the media is treating it a little bit differently than when Donald Trump was indicted by a federal grand jury.
It is the grand jury listening to the facts, listening to the evidence, listening to testimony, and then this, you know, we don't know how many people, 22 people indicting Donald Trump. It was a grand jury that looked at facts, that looked at evidence, and this grand jury took a vote, which is part of our system.
Because if you're a politician and you commit a crime, or a grand jury believes, based on a preponderance of the evidence, that you have committed a crime and you should face trial for it, you should face trial for it. That's the way the system works.
Oh, so Rachel, I'm going to guess you're not going to take that position on this one. Again, guys, to me, the law here is fairly clear. It's what Knowles just laid out. I've read the FACE Act to you. Marjorie Taylor Greene pointed out how the FACE Act has been used against anti-abortion activists. And again, there's the legal part, and then there's the philosophical part. If you want no safe spaces, you people who've been telling us every day we need safe spaces, all hell is going to break loose. But of course, so again, it's not, just to be clear, because I have no doubt that some of you watching this, when you're debating tonight over dinner with friends or whatever it is, you're fighting with people on X or whatever, they're going to say, Donald Trump forced the Justice Department to do this. Grand jury, just like how they went after Donald Trump. So in that case, what's her name, who's been fired, Joy Reid, she was all about it. And then the other lady who gets $25 million a year on MSNBC to have a one-night-a-week show, she also was all about it. Here's this guy who looks like a burnt marshmallow. I mean, that's just the truth. Elie Mystal, this guy, here he is explaining that Don Lemon being arrested is a form of slavery.
It is an It is an expression of white supremacy, because there was something in the original Constitution that would have allowed them to arrest a black journalist like Don Lemon. And that was called the Fugitive Slave Clause in Article 4 of the original Constitution, which allowed the government to reclaim escaped property should that property have successfully made it to a...
Damn, I was trying to get this fork in my hair for when we came back, but I just don't have enough, there's not enough juice in there. Ugh. Why would, look, okay, I don't care about the hair pick or anything else, other than you're on camera. So you're purposely making a point of, I'm a guy who keeps a fork in my hair when I'm there. Like if I was just on Fox later today, and they were like, Dave, what do you think about what's going on in Minnesota? And I just started talking about it like this. I think somebody would be like, Dave, there's a fork in your, you would say to me, Dave, take the fork out of your hair. But here's Jim Acosta, another guy who's been fired by CNN. And of course, he is saying that Donald Trump did this, even though it was a grand jury, but Donald Trump did it because Don Lemon is black.
Yeah. And I'll say it right now, I mean, Trump likes to with Don because Don is black.
Yeah.
And we just need to say that too. Trump is racist, and he's always attacked Don in racially loaded ways, calls him stupid and things like that.
How is calling someone stupid racially motivated? Unless you're racist, Acosta, and you think black people are stupid. You're actually racist, I suppose. So if you call someone stupid, if I was like Phoenix, this is the stupidest rundown you've ever handed me. Would you think that I am making a racial attack? Well, you're white, so I guess it wouldn't make. If I had a black producer and he handed me something and I was like, this is stupid, what's racist about that? Everything with these guys. Again, we are back to 2016. It's the same old shit. And also, are you implying, who's a white, are you implying that Jim Acosta yourself, if you had done exactly what Don Lemon did, you wouldn't have been indicted by this grand jury? That Donald Trump wouldn't be made? You're white. You're a white sellout or whatever you are. But of course, Donald Trump would be saying the exact same things. It has nothing to do with Don Lemon's skin color. Of course, Don Lemon was taught a little something about how we should be talking about race back in 2014. Apparently, he has completely forgotten it. Watch this from his own show. We've put this clip up a couple times over the years. It's just fantastic. This should have ended racism all the way back in 2014, because Morgan Freeman, he's played God in several movies. He's played God. He's played the president. Like, this man had some authority, people.
Do you think that race plays a part in wealth distribution, or either a mindset that you can't
Today?
or cannot? Yeah.
No.
You don't?
No, I don't. You and I, we're proof. Why would race have anything to do with it? Put your mind to what you want to do and go for that. It's kind of like religion to me. It's a good excuse for not getting there.
Yeah. You know, I said, and it's probably get me in trouble, but I said to some of my colleagues recently, so I know that it's an issue, but it seems like every single day on television I'm talking about race, and it's because of the news cycle, it's in the news, but sometimes I get so tired of talking about it. I want to just go, this is over, can we move on?
And if you talk about it, it exists.
Right.
What happened to that conversation at a national level? And that is what it was. I'm a Gen Zer. When I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, nobody cared about race. I know that if you're younger, that might be a little hard to believe, but it was not cool to be racist. Nobody cared about it. It was nobody, the hate, this like bigoted hate thing that now has become the main commodity, largely of the left and the media and the elites. Nobody was into it. Nobody was into it. And there you have Don Lemon 12 years ago saying, I'm tired of talking about it, and could we just stop? And you have a massive Hollywood star that everyone loves, Morgan Freeman, saying, look at us, man. Put your mind to something. Go get it. Stop being a victim. That was the truth back then, and it's the truth right now. It's not the truth that Jim Acosta wants to see, and it's not the truth that the race grifters and the buffoons at the Grammys want to see, but it is the actual truth. We will have more on how everyone got so confused by this, and how if you were a child growing up in the 80s, you were taught that crap didn't matter, and now they are literally brainwashing you into being clone soldiers out on the streets. We'll do that in just a second, but first, Wild Alaska. When was the last time you truly trusted the seafood you brought home? For me, it used to be a guessing game. That all changed when I discovered Wild Alaskan Company. Wild Alaskan Company delivers wild-caught and nutrient-dense seafood right to your door. No antibiotics, no GMOs, no additives, just clean fish that supports healthy oceans and fishing communities. I've especially loved cooking their coho salmon. It's rich, flavorful, and so versatile. Every piece is frozen right off the boat to lock in taste, texture, and nutrients like omega-3s. Plus, every order supports sustainable harvesting practices you can feel good about. And if you're not completely satisfied with your first box, they'll refund you in full. No questions asked. Not all fish are the same, guys. Get seafood you can trust at wildalaskan.com/Rubin for $35 off your first box of premium wild-caught seafood. That's wildalaskan.com/Rubin for $35 off your first order. Okay, so if we put all of this racist nonsense to bed in the 80s and 90s, and everyone was just kind of over it, and there was nothing cool about any of it. Nobody wanted to use it as currency or anything else. But now it's all seemingly come back. And again, for I think it's now the third time I'm going to say it on the show, we seem to be, at least from the media perspective, back to 2016, right? Now Trump's Hitler again. Okay, fine. Well, how did this happen? It's because the left took over the institutions and they brainwashed, I would now say, several generations of young people. I'll read you a couple things here, and we're going to show you some video on this. Listen to this from Right Angle News Network. Breaking. A disturbing new trend is emerging across the country, showing leftist teachers guiding very young children, some no older than kindergartners, in protests against ICE and President Trump. And here is some video evidence of that. You know, guys, evil is real. It is a real thing. And I would say something that is evil is when you brainwash children, right? Those kids, give me a screenshot of the first one there, some of the compilation. Like, look at some of these kids. These kids, look at that upper picture left there with the girl in the red and the kid in the maroon. Those, what are they, 6, 7? Ah, they're 6, 7 years old. Those kids in the upper middle, right? Like, those look like 5-year-olds, right? Now, some of the other videos, they look a little more like middle school or whatever. But what are these teachers doing? And imagine, look at these women. There's a reason, and the guy even looks like a woman. Why do they all look exactly the same? They all look like genderqueer lesbians who are all, these are activists. This is the Portland Montessori, at a Montessori school. You know what Montessori is, guys? Montessori is like how you teach kids to be independent and clean up after themselves and take some responsibility. And it's a completely unique and I would say quite positive way of learning. And yet the Montessori teachers in Portland, of course they're in Portland, those look like they're characters in Portlandia. They are teaching them, those kids don't know what they are doing. They are abusing those kids. You think the kid has any idea what ICE is? 5-year-old, do you know what ICE is? Do you know what the SAFE Act is? Do you know what the First Amendment is? Get out there with a placard and start screaming. And then the high school kids that are just out there, it's just a mob out there screaming. Like any of us, just think if you're in 10th grade, there's something going on in the world and your teachers are like, you don't have to be in class today, get out there and throw some shit all over the place and harass people. Okay, sounds pretty good. Like, it's absolutely insane. Here's some videos of teachers guiding children in protests against ICE.
They just left, but I don't know why it's making me so emotional. I guess because, like, being here in Seattle and being a teacher here in North Seattle specifically, there's not a lot of, like, Latino teachers at my school specifically, and seeing, like, our community and the community I teach and, like, being so supportive, it's really heartwarming.
That's a teacher in Seattle. That woman should be fired. Not tomorrow, not next week, by the time I finish this sentence. period. She should be fired. She is an activist. It doesn't matter how many Latinos are in Seattle or anything else. Is she teaching the children the basic? Can you give me a screenshot of that video? What does she have back there? I assume they've got some ABCs back there, maybe some numbers.
They just left.
Is she, yeah, look, there's some, I don't know, they've got their coloring, they've got some scores up there, whatever it might be. Is she doing her job? All right, you can come back, it doesn't matter. The point is, it doesn't even matter how old the kids are. She's there, and also that they then make videos about it. You are brainwashing those children. Okay, I'm going to guess, Lee, so you're Latina. That's just great. I'm going to guess you're a legal citizen of the United States. That's also just fine. But you're so proud and crying that you can send a bunch of kids who have no idea what they're talking about to not be in class learning, which is what you are being paid for, but instead to be protesting, fired immediately. Fired immediately. And if she isn't fired by the end of the week, then the principal of the school should be fired too. And that's not cancel culture. That is basic accountability. Speaking of accountability, one of the guys who is going to give you great accountability if you live in a comic book is Batman. What Batman does is he finds the bad guys. You got your Jokers, you got your Riddlers, you got your Two-Faces, you got your Clayface, you got your, who else? You got your Iceman, not Iceman, Mr. Freeze. Give me three more. Come on, three more. Let's go. Oh, you got Bane, obviously. Poison Ivy. Who else? Killer Croc. Oh, he went deep. So Batman is a fictitious character, of course, in a fictitious city called Gotham. But because we are having a mass mental health crisis in this country, here is a man in Santa Clara who went to a city council board meeting dressed up as Batman to explain that ICE is bad.
I don't want you to sit back and watch. I want you to do something. Each and every one of these people who have came up has been very polite, very earnest, very kind, pleading you, begging you to do something. I'm not begging you. I'm demanding that you act with some semblance of a spine. Do something.
Thank you.
I honestly, guys, I don't know what to say. Like, dude, all right. These people have been respectful and kind. I'm demanding. You know what? If you're Batman, let's say you're the real Batman, man. Let's say it's all real. You're Batman. You do something then. You know what I mean? Like, isn't it your job to then get out there with your gadgets and your fancy car and fight people with your Batwing and your little ding, ding? Like, you should do something, man. Why are you... Imagine Batman in the movie. Imagine if Dark Knight Rises and Batman's like, there's a lot of shit going on here. I mean, Joker's, burning down the city and, Harvey Dent's got problems. His face got blown off. And then Batman, the whole movie was at the end. Batman goes to the city council meeting. Guys, you do something. But it's even crazier. This one is even crazier than Batman showing up to the Santa Clara City Council meeting. A man who is running for mayor in Long Beach, California, is demanding that all of the gangs get together and stop ICE. Take a look.
My name is Rogelio Martinez. I am calling all 55 gangs in my beautiful city. I expect a gang leader from every gang, all 55 gangs, and I'm not going to name them by name. I'm calling all gang leaders to meet me right here, Long Beach City Hall, this coming Monday. Why Monday? Specifically, I need you to be here to meet me in person to take back this city.
All right, so today's Monday, so we'll see. I assume we'll have some video on this for you tomorrow, but that's a man who wants to be mayor. First off, there's 55 gangs in that town. They got the black gang and the Latino gang and the Sharks and the Crips and the Bloods. Like, what's going on there? But I'm pretty sure if you're a mayor, you should not be coordinating with the gangs. Forget ICE for a second, like mayors and gangs. That literally sounds like Batman. If Batman, maybe we could combine this story. We get Batman to show up over there. Maybe he could... Phoenix, roll for me, please. I know we're getting a little crazy here. In Minnesota, which is the epicenter of all of this lunacy, the people who are out on the streets, it's not just that they're protesting ICE. That would be just fine. They're also just causing general chaos. Here, check out all the vehicles that they just break into vehicles in the name of tolerance, diversity, and kindness.
They broke into everybody. All of these windows. Every single window. Are you kidding me?
Nobody cares about that. No Democrat's going to say anything about that. You think Frey, Jacob Frey, is going to get up there in Minnesota and say, guys, I know you're protesting ICE, and it is important to keep all the illegals here, and we've got to keep the Somalis here with the fraud and everything, but could you at least not break into everybody's cars? They're just parked on the street, and they're probably going about their day. Could you just not break into their cars? But he won't even say that. I'm telling you guys, there is no low that is too low. If we found out today that an illegal raped and beheaded and murdered another mother of five, which by the way has happened, maybe not the beheading part, but there's the woman who is the mother of five that was killed by Rachel Morin. They don't care. They will not say her name. They do not care. Bill O'Reilly, who I've been throwing you some more clips of in the last couple of weeks, I like this sort of older Bill O'Reilly. He just doesn't care anymore. He's calling out the bullshit, and I agree with every single word he says right here.
Now in Minnesota is an insurrection. That's what it is. I debated it with Cuomo last night. He doesn't want to admit it is, but that's okay. But
it is. I agree with
There's
you.
no
That's
question
exactly
about
what it is.
Right. And if you look at history, if you look how it played out in front of the Civil War, it's exactly the same thing. There's no difference whatsoever. And in the 50s, when the civil rights people had passed legislation, and Wallace in Alabama and Forbes in Arkansas said, blank you, federal government, we're not integrating. Well, Eisenhower sent down troops, airborne. Mm-hmm. That was an insurrection. And so Minnesota would have watched themselves now, but this is no doubt tearing the country apart.
Yeah, and that's why I keep saying rock in a hard place, unstoppable force, unmovable object. Like, okay, let's just say it all right now. Put aside everything that has happened up until right this moment. So what is happening right this moment? You have ICE officers doing their legal duty of getting illegals out of the country. We haven't kicked any legal members out. We've read you the numbers before. There have been over 700,000 deportations. And there's been about 270 arrests, temporary arrests of legal citizens, usually held for about an hour because they didn't have their license on them. They were in a weird position with some illegals, et cetera, et cetera. There is no perfect system, but there is no abuela who is legal, who has had her head thrown on the linoleum floor, as Jon Stewart said, and yanked out of the country. It simply has not happened. So what should Donald Trump do right now? If he reverses on this, then not only will it keep spreading throughout the cities, but all of the sanctuary city Democrats will be emboldened. They will give more services to these people. More of the taxpayers will flee. There will be more chaos and crime and everything else. Donald Trump simply cannot lose this. He cannot lose it because of obvious legal reasons of basic law and order, but he can't lose it for electoral reasons, because then if you think, as everyone's saying right now, the midterms are going to be a disaster, that's just how it works for the incumbent president, like, it will be a bloodbath beyond imagination. On that note, let's talk about Strong Cell. Oh, it's a live read! Guys, if fatigue, brain fog, constant sickness, or achy joints sound familiar, Strong Cell may be worth a look. Strong Cell supports mental clarity and focus, plus clean, natural energy without the jitters or afternoon crash. The key ingredient is NADH, the energy source that powers every cell in the body. NADH levels decline with age, and with over 30 trillion cells to support, that matters. Strong Cell uses a proprietary delivery system designed to get nutrients into the cells. When NADH is properly paired with CoQ10 and marine collagen, it helps support the mitochondria. That's what makes a Jedi, if I'm not mistaken. They taste great and really give you a boost. So if being tired of feeling tired sounds familiar, check out strongcell.com. Use promo code Rubin to get 20% off. That's strongcell.com, promo code Rubin for 20% off. And now let us go to national treasure and recent Rubin Report guest, Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. Here he is just flat out explaining what has happened to the Democrats.
I've been in the middle of this for a while now, and I know my Democratic colleagues are taking their marching orders from the Bernie Sanders, Ocasio-Cortez, Mayor Mamdani wing of the party, and they don't want to reform ICE. They want to kill ICE. This is all about defunding ICE. When we went through this with defunding the police, I remember they wanted to call it reform. No. They wanted to get rid of the police and replace them with social workers.
Yeah, and how did defunding the police work? Well, even some of the craziest Dems who were for it then, when they realized how bad it got, we had our summer of love and we boarded up all those stores and we burned down Pep Boys and Best Buy and the rest of it, even some of them walked it back or pretended they had nothing to do with it, right? We've shown you many videos of that over the years. So this is the exact same thing. It is the exact same people. It is the exact same funders. Pam Bondi over at the Justice Department, RICO case, watch a couple mafia movies, figure this stuff out. And again, imagine Trump just cuts and runs today. You know what, Democrats, you're right. We've caused some chaos. The optics on this aren't great. Don Lemon's a martyr now. We're leaving. The country is over. Literally over. I see no way around that at this point. Bill O'Reilly is completely correct. The Democrats are now an insurrectionist party. There is nobody willing to moderate them. They have no idea how to control themselves, and they are trying to upend our democracy. Here's the woman that won for 3 years in a row. They voted on this in Congress. Woman most likely to scare small children in the dark, Pramila Jayapal.
We really need to, as soon as we get the gavels back, we have to dismantle DHS and ICE and CBP. And we have to reconstruct them to what they really should be doing. Remember, don't let people tell you that these are agencies that have always existed and they need to exist. They didn't exist before 9/11.
Lady, they need to exist because the AutoPen dementia man let in 21 million people. And we are a country that should have not let you in, but here we are. She reminds me of somebody from a movie. Is there something that she... Ah! That'll freak you out. Here is New Jersey Governor Mickey Sherrill, saying that they're going to launch a portal so that you can coordinate how to stop ICE agents. This should be illegal. This person should be also kicked out of office, but Democrat, so you know.
I've already met with AG. We are putting out information on helping New Jerseyans know their rights. We are not going to allow any ICE raids to be staged from state properties. And we are also going to be standing up a portal so people can upload all their cell phone videos and alert people. Like if you see an ICE agent in the street, get your phone out. Yeah.
Listen, maybe I've been radicalized over the years. You know, I do this for a living. I talk about this stuff every day. I just can't even imagine the mindset of somebody that would be like, oh, we're just trying to get illegals out, and we are going to do everything possible to stop the illegals from leaving. You were just elected, lady, and God help the people of New Jersey, which is the only state, by the way, that has a state smell. They've already got their own problems in New Jersey. You get it? Did anyone catch that one? They already have problems in New Jersey, but why are you so bent on stopping the federal government from getting illegals out? And you do it saying you're the good guy. It is absolutely crazy. And speaking of crazy, this clip almost should end the entire farce in and of itself. But as I keep saying, there's no bottom to this hole. The abyss is endless here. So Stephen A. Smith had Jacob Frey on, and he asked this is like the most basic question you could ask in light of what's going on there. He basically just said, how many illegals are in Minneapolis? Watch this.
I got to ask you this. When you talked about just illegal migrants in a city, people who cross the border illegally, that's what people call them. I want to ask you, how many do you believe you have in your city at this particular moment in time?
How many people that are undocumented or living in Minneapolis right now?
Undocumented, yes. Do you have any idea?
I don't know. I couldn't. I don't really have a guess as to how many presently are here. I do know that I think that the federal administration just got it kind of wrong.
130K. Okay, so it's that is so profoundly discrediting to him. It's incredible. Like this situation that we are in right now is he is the mayor of the city that is ground zero for all of this. He has no idea. He can't even take a guess. I don't know. Is it 10,000? Is it 50,000? Is it 100,000? Is it 1 million? You can't even take a guess. And the reason you can't take a guess, well, it's one of two things. Either you know and you don't want us to know because it would make you look pretty stupid, or regardless of what the number is, you're all for this happening, right? And that's kind of the same thing, I suppose. We just checked. It sounds like around 130. How many? 90. Okay, so it sounds like 90,000 people. How many people are in Minneapolis as a whole? 90,000 people are approximately illegal in Minneapolis. He doesn't know and doesn't care. And why should there be one of them there? Explain to me why there should be one. I don't know, how many people?
430K.
That is absolutely insane. So there are 430 citizens of Minneapolis. That is wild. I mean, we're checking these numbers on the fly. You can check them for yourself. There are 430 legal citizens of Minneapolis, and there are approximately 90,000 illegals. That's about a fifth. That's about 20% of the population basically is illegal. That is completely insane. And again, he either doesn't know that or doesn't want you to know that. That is a problem. But it's not just there. These radical mayors are all over the country, and they are there to destroy the cities which they've been sworn to protect. Here is total lunatic and genuine racist who, I believe it was a year ago, had a holiday party only for her colored employees, Mayor of Boston, Michelle Wu. And listen to this gem.
Every person, every human being has the legal right to come to the United States and seek asylum or shelter.
No, you don't. And we shouldn't have let you in, lady. You don't have a right to come to the United States. If you would like to come and you'd like to seek asylum, there is a legal process to do it. But you guys don't even care about that legal process because you're thrilled when people just get here and then start taking services and creating chaos and everything else. And the reason you want it is because you are running out of voters. The Democrat Party used identity politics against us. They didn't know what to do about the rise of Trump. And now their numbers do not look good because the minorities that they have pandered to and manipulated for years are breaking away because most people in America think that America is fundamentally good and decent and everything else. So they are literally trying to replace voters, which is something that Elon has been warning about for years and many other people have been talking about. Here's All In podcast host and czar of crypto here in America, David Sachs.
The Democrats want to thwart mass deportations because illegal immigrants are a vital part of their power base. And you can see this in the 2030 apportionment forecast, which just came out. Illegal aliens count towards the census, which occurs every decade. And the census determines the apportionment of congressional seats and electoral votes. And what you see in these maps is that citizens of blue states have been migrating to red states because those blue states are failing. As a result of that, blue states are expected to lose 9 House seats and electoral votes because of the changing population numbers. Illegal aliens in blue states have been propping up those numbers. And so, for example, in the last election, President Trump would have won an additional 9 electoral votes if we had an accurate counting.
So do you see what is going on here? They are importing new voters. They are trying to flood the system with these people. They don't care. Otherwise, it doesn't make logical sense. Why does the witch from Snow White and the governor of Jersey and the mayor of Boston, why are they so focused on making sure that illegals stay here? Is it just because they're such great people? They're so nice and kind and decent and everything else, just like those Grammy people. They're all just so freaking wonderful. None of them offer, most of those people have guest houses. I've been to a lot of very fancy houses in LA. Most of them have guest houses. I'm going to guess that 0 of those celebrities have offered their guest house to any of the illegals. So what else could it be? Is it just that they're so great and, by the way, much, much better than you? Or is it that they're actually just trying to consolidate power? They are trying to flood the rolls to make sure that they will always be in power. Like, am I cynical or crazy? I don't know. I leave that to you. Here's Elon Musk, a man who years ago was a moderate Dem like most people, like Bobby Kennedy, like Tulsi Gabbard, like Joe Rogan, like Dave Rubin, like Bill Maher. I mean, we could go down the laundry line of all of these moderates who are now called crazy right-wing, far-right lunatics. And here's Elon explaining what it means to be a far-right lunatic these days.
I think we want safe cities, secure borders, sensible spending. Tell me where I'm going far right here. We want to have the right to self-protection. We should respect the Constitution and not try to break the Constitution. It's there for a reason. We should stop lawfare. But I think these are good goals to have. And right to free speech,
Yes.
First Amendment. If we don't have free speech, we don't have democracy because people cannot make an informed vote. So those are my controversial views.
Do any of those views right there have anything to do with the modern Democrat Party? The answer obviously is no. And this is what Donald Trump is now protecting. He is protecting the America that all of the Democrats wanted 30 years ago. And it was a better America in a sense than we have right now, because now the Democrats have gone completely insane. So all we have left for all of their flaws is the MAGA movement, is the movement that made the Republican Party wide tent so that me and Elon and others could be in it, and probably you watching this right now. That is the thing we are trying to defend. The Democrats are doing everything to try to destroy it, whether it's importing voters or all of the things that they would do if they were in power right now. Just imagine. And as I always say, I'm not worried about the things that I know they can do. I'm worried about the things that I can't even think of. That is what we are up against. That is a rather heavy ending for a Monday show, but I felt there was enough humor here to offset the doom and gloom. I thank you for watching. We've got a post-game show in 30 seconds. RubinReport.locals.com. Adios.
Caring for people was at the core of who he was. He was incapable of causing harm. Alex carried patience, compassion, and calm as a steady light within him. Even at the very end, that light was there. I recognized his familiar stillness and signature calm composure.